thing. There we go. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another Coffee Break Live. I didn't add my camera to the stage, so for a minute I wasn't even there. Can you guys hear me okay? I hope you can hear me okay. We're going to talk about non-magic, non-gold related in-game rewards in D&D. Sound good? Heck yeah. All right. Avery's in the house. Mr. Vincent's here. How's it going, Mr. Vincent? Garrick is present. We have Dirty Socks. Hey, Dirty Socks. We have John Haney is back. We have Robert H. How's it going, Robert? Juberstein is here. Sound is good. Whispering Wisp is here. Hello. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to Coffee Break Live. I hope you all are having a great day. So non-magic in-game rewards. I'm going to drop this call-in link. I'm going to drop it right in the chat. I'm getting braver by the day. I'm going to drop it right in the chat now. This scared me before. I was like, what if weirdos call in? And now this is how brave I've gotten. You know what? I hope the weirdos call in. That's how brave. That's how brave I've gotten. John says hit that like button. Heck yeah, hit that like button. Okay, now listen, that join link is at the top of the channel. I'm going to kind of prioritize one caller at a time, try to actually have a good conversation with them, and then we will bounce to the next one if we get any call-ins. If we don't get any call-ins, guess what? You're going to listen to GM Philosopher talk about this for about 30 straight minutes. So you know what? Watch out. I just might do it. I just might talk about it for 30 straight minutes, and I might be the only one you're going to listen to. So if I were you, I'd hit that call-in button and jump in here and bounce some ideas around with me. Now, there's some Discord thoughts on this. Some people actually left some really good Discord comments about this, but let me give you my 2 cents on this. I love the idea of non-gold related, non-magic item rewards, although I do very liberally give out magic item rewards, probably too liberally. And I do very liberally give out gold rewards in my games. So I do those things. However, non-gold related, non-magic item related rewards, here's my favorite thing to do. I tend to give these out in NPC alliances. This is my favorite way to give out rewards that are not related to gold and not related to magic items. So for example, there's usually a lot of NPCs in my games. Usually as many as the group will invite along with them. I mean, there's just like, I supply them an endless stream of possible comments. So with that being said, sometimes the player characters will be like, hey, this NPC, they appeal to me. They're interesting. I'm going to invite them to be like my squad. Or I'm going to invite them to join me on my adventures. Whatever. So what we end up having is a group that is player characters, and each player character, sound is distorted. Is it? Is it really? Maybe I need to back off the mic. Let's back off a little bit. Your audio is getting weird. Okay. How about this? Is that a little better? Check 1, 2. Is that better for audio? I'm glad you guys tell me these things because I don't really know. I was cutting out. Okay, I was probably too close to the mic because if I get too close to my mic, it like overloads. It's better now? Okay, all right, good now. Let me know if it sounds weird again because I can't hear it. I'm not hearing like the live feed. Okay, so there's like, every PC will have this like cohort of NPCs, as many as they want basically. And then it gets to be a lot to track, but it's so much fun. I love dynamic NPCs. And so this is my number one way to reward players. If they like do good things, more NPCs come to them wanting to follow them, and then they build like a little army of NPCs. This is how it always tends to go in my games. And then the better they are at whatever it is, they're trying to do, the more the NPCs are devoted, loyal followers to them. And I'm going to tell a story. No one has hit that join link yet. So we don't have any conversations going on in here. I'm going to jump to the chat real quick. Dirty Socks says, I'm giving my players the chance to earn their subclasses through quests. Ah, do you not let them have subclasses if they don't earn them? That's interesting. John says, and then you had a weirdo do a panel discussion with you. Yes, we were all weirdos doing a panel discussion. No, I'm joking. But really, you guys should go back in the live videos and look at our conversation about defining good and evil in D&D. We had like an hour long, it was over an hour conversation. Me, John Haney, and Kelf. Kelf and John Haney are both council members in the Discord. By the way, links in the description. Join the Discord. Join us. Hang out with us. Be awesome like us. Join the Discord. But anyway, so yeah, let's go to the Discord real quick. I'm going to read some of these comments. Now, John Haney left a comment. I am using feats as rewards in my current campaign. The players tell me 2 to 3 feats they would like to work towards, and I come up with flavorful ways for the characters to earn those feats. Once they achieve a feat, they can select a new one to work toward. Players are really enjoying it, are way less likely to abandon a character once they've earned a couple feats. That's actually really cool. And are way more likely to do flavorful things rather than just sticking to mechanically optimized actions. 99% sure it's because they know that they'll get their feats faster if they engage with the world in meaningful ways. That's actually super cool. I really like that. Garrick said this, basic fantasy, and this was in response to that comment. Basic fantasy doesn't have feats exactly, but I once awarded a PC with something I'd written up 30 years ago as an alternate thief ability, forgery. I had a list of things that would be pluses and minuses to the success roll of having the forgery be accepted, and time and materials based on difficulty of the thing being forged, and a reminder of how sticky things could get if a forgery was discovered. So the party has a mage who does forgeries. In his younger years, stage. I've seen a lot of times, right? That made sense to me. Okay, that's awesome. Actually, I really like that. So we got feats, and then we sort of have like class abilities. Um, Dirty Socks left a comment. It says, "I currently have one player who has earned himself the ability to bend the water element." Okay, so it's like a water bending thing, sort of like an Avatar, the Last Airbender. This is his extra, which was woven into his backstory, and also had to take out almost an army to get there. The city was occupied by pirate gangs, and they were looking for a scroll of waterbending. When the final showdown was upon them, it was a clash of who would have used the scroll first and completed the ritual. Okay, so they got like a special waterbending ability for that, and that's pretty awesome. um, so let's see here. I'm going to go back to the discussion in the chat. Dirty Sock says, if they won't make it somehow, I'll provide a new alternate quest line. And if they fail a second time, I then make a new subclass to earn. Okay, this was based on the subclass conversation. JW is in the house. How's it going, JW? Great to see you. Whispering Wisp says, I wish I wasn't always at work. Can't call in. The follow count growth is definitely how you become a local lord in an unsettled area. I often made tailored half to 1/4 feats that fit how they played. Wait a minute. One half to 1/4 is how I read that, but I might be wrong about that. But anyway, the follow count growth. Okay, so that's like a local lord. That that's actually a really cool metric, and I really like that metric, and it plays right into like a public reputation and like prestige based reward system, which I really love that kind of thing. So it's like I like to start with player characters getting NPC followers. And then those NPC followers, here's what'll happen, is what I usually do. Those NPC followers will get ideas, right? They'll get like ideas for things, and then they will pitch it to the player character, try to get them to let them do it. So, for example, one PC might get a follower who's like a monk. And then this follower will eventually come to the PC and say, I want to start a like a band of monks who fight evil and this and this and this, and then we can serve your cause. Please, will you allow me to do this? I really want to do this. Let me go recruit some monks. And so then they may go recruit some monks. But now that player character has the sound problems come and go, unrelated to how close to the mic. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Sound problems, having sound problems. This is kind of uncommon. This hasn't been happening lately, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so So basically, then the monk will be like, I want to do this. Will you like let me do this? And then the monk will go start recruiting some people. And so then I pay attention to how close. And this almost like goes away from the reward conversation, and this almost comes back to like a conversation about like NPCs, but like um, the monk will then go, and then I kind of watch how close the player. They might start recruiting on these roles. They might be like highly successful or maybe unsuccessful. But if they're very highly successful, they start getting this big group together. And this group, depending on the leadership skills of that NPC, may or may not like get into trouble, do things that embarrass the PC, or do things that make the PC proud, right? Based on the NPC who's leading it and how active the PC is in. So I like having these like factions that do these like wild things, and then the player characters, like basically how big their factions get is a representation of how like much they've done to earn non-monetary, non-magical rewards. That's my favorite way to reward things. So it's like if you have an exceptional player character who's really in-depthly role-playing, they're going to attract followers. Like the leadership feat in third edition. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the leadership feat, but I basically operate like every player character has the leadership feat. And I'm going to read it for you. So let's see. We've got some comments up here. Stacy says, my DM Kelf sometimes gives us mini feats called talents or boots related to the quests we did or to traits our characters already have. I think you mean boons, but you might mean boots. If it's boots, that's actually really cool. Whispering Wisp says, yeah, not a full-blown feat, but they could have many. Also, completing arcs and gaining titles gave benefits too. Tyrant Slayer was one they got, for example. 19 to 20 is a crit against evil rulers. Oh, so it's like specific to evil rulers. That's cool. Dungeons at 20 says, hello. Hey, William, how's it going? John Haney says, I wonder if it's using your earbud mic because I noticed it when you turned your head. I've had the problem with earphone mics before. So no, this should not be. This is not a microphone. It's definitely this microphone. Is it still have? Are we still having audio problems? Like if your beard is scraping over the mic and the noise cancellation is triggering. So no, we should definitely be using this mic unless there's some kind of problem that I'm unaware of. But I checked the mic before I jumped in, so it shouldn't be bad. But boosts, Stacey says. It's not boots, it's boosts. That's awesome. Let me know if the audio problems continue. Sometimes I am plagued with audio problems, and sometimes I do not know the cause of them. This is unfortunately a hazard of the activity. It's like when we're on live, especially, it's annoying because I can't go back and like re-record it. If I have audio problems when I'm recording, I can go back and fix them. But in a live stream, we are just doomed to endure the terrible audio. This is a bane to live streaming. I'm gonna look up this leadership feat because I love this so much. This is one of my favorite things in all of D&D. It's described in the DMG. I need to get my DMG out. All right. John Haney says, I'm probably wrong, though. I'm technologically slow. No, I wouldn't say you're technologically slow. Mr. Vincent says, audio better now. Okay, good. All the audio problems have been since the new mic. So that is possible, but also I don't know that I even was live streaming before I got this mic. So I kind of feel like this mic does cut out more than my last mic, and I think it's because it has an audio setting on the mic. So actually, even though I kind of responsible for the vast majority of problems. I'm really trying to find this feat here. It's okay. It's a third edition. No one's joined the chat. You can join the chat with the link in the description or with the link in the pinned comments if you would like. But I do understand it's the middle of the day. All right. Here we go. right when I turned my head to read, so when I turned my head to read, was it good for the audio or bad for the audio? That's a good question, because if I turn my head to read and the audio is better, then we definitely have a problem. We definitely have a problem. Leadership, general. A character with this feat is the sort of individual others want to follow, and he or she has done some work attempting to recruit cohorts and followers. Okay, so if I turn my head, the audio gets bad. Well, this is good because it must mean that the mic is working better than if I turn my head away. Okay, very good. Prerequisites to the leadership feat. A character must be at least 6th level to take this feat. Whispering Wisp says, it's most often when you turn away, this seems oddly inconsistent. I'll have to watch this live back and diagnose the audio problems. When I watch it back, it helps me to understand what's going wrong and maybe make adjustments for the future. Leadership modifiers. Several factors can affect a character's leadership score, causing it to vary from base score, character level plus charisma modifier, a character's reputation from the point of view of the cohort or follower he's trying to attract raises or lowers his leadership score. And then there's like a table for how many followers you can have. So for example, if your leadership score is a 10, which means so that would be level plus charisma modifier. So let's say you're level 7 and you have a +3 to your charisma. You would be a leadership score of 10. You would be a level 7 character. Your cohort level could be 7th. So you could have cohorts up to 7th level. Number of followers by level. You could have 5 1st level followers. Oh no, okay. Cohort level is different than the level of your cohorts. So according to the leadership feat in 3rd edition, if your leadership score was 7, so like for example, a level 7 character with a 3 charisma score, you could have up to 5 1st level followers. So that's like those are some basic rules for like the leadership feat. But I kind of treat every character in my game like they have leadership feat, and I don't even really follow those rules. I just think like, okay, anyone can attract cohorts, and if they are doing notable things in game that are like progressing the story, then they're probably going to attract followers. So, and I like to use followers for rewards. And then followers do things for you. Like they watch your back during fights. They have your back during conversations. They'll jump in and argue on your behalf if you're arguing with another player character. They might even do little missions for you, or they might even, and sometimes this is a bad case scenario, they might sometimes decide to do things for you that you wouldn't even want them to do. Like, for example, I've had like followers of PCs get so angry at other player characters for like arguing with that player character that they'll like literally plot an assassination or something, like, and the player character won't even realize it, like the cohort is following. So it makes a lot of drama and it's a lot of fun. But I think that when player characters start to become exceptional, they're going to start to bring followers in. They're going to start to attract people. I think this is a natural extension of player characters like becoming more powerful and becoming more exceptional and more notable, and also as they gain higher levels, basically being more well known throughout the land for their like adventuring things. Garrick says, I've used titles and medals. The medals come with experience awards. Also, factions and individuals provide bennies. Dungeons of 20 says, I always worry to add more NPCs to the board because during fights it slows a bit. So that is true. That's a downside to NPCs. And so if you can figure out a way to make NPCs go really fast, it like negates that. But yes, and a lot of NPCs can totally bog down fights. And I always try to give my players the option of like, hey, are you bringing any NPCs with you? If so, which ones are you bringing? I always give my player characters the like the option to opt out of having all their followers follow them. Like right now, my core group on Saturdays, they probably have like 20 NPCs who are following them, but they only bring 1 or 2 of them with them. For the most part, they tell them, stay with the ships, watch the cargo, let us go deal with this, right? They don't want to bring them all with them. And so, like, I honor that, and that's kind of how it goes. They bring like their 1 or 2 favorites. Sometimes they bring a lot more, though. Sometimes they're like, okay, bring everyone. We need all the bodies we can get. We need some cannon fodder. We need some frontline soldiers. We need a vanguard, right? Dungeons 20 says, but I do work with Renown, working on call in. Oh, I hope you can call in, William. That'd be awesome. But it's okay. No pressure. No pressure. So yeah, in-game rewards. We've read all the comments. Let's see here. Let's go back to the Discord. No new comments in the Discord. So here's the thing. Let me talk about the downsides of magic. So I have definitely gone to the extreme of like putting too many magic items in my games. I have high key done that because I love giving magical items as rewards. I love magic items. And I think it's really fun to like randomly select magic items and put them in the game, either for loot or, you know, for like even just like for stuff the players get as rewards from like kings or nobles, people who they do missions for, or whatever. So I love to do that, but as a recourse, I have sometimes given out too many. And here's what happens. What happens is that, oh, we have William jumping in here. I'm going to add William to. Hey, William, how's it going? Uh-oh, I can't hear you. I don't think we don't have audio. Let me see. Is it on my end or is it on your end? Yeah, I don't have any audio. Let me cancel this. Let me pause the background music. Here, try to talk now. See if that works. I don't hear you. Is it me? Hello? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. I think we were having a technical problem. Could you all hear William in the chat, or was it hello? No, I don't hear anything. It's very unfortunate. Hey chat, can you hear William in the chat, or is it just me? Okay, no, the chat can't hear you either. Kind of weird that bad was the first message I wrote here. I'm sorry. I watched some of your videos before. I love how follow your voice is, and the content's great too, obviously. William doesn't have sound. Okay, so it might be it's a system thing. It's not just my headphones then. If I edit mic settings, I can see that your mic volume is midway. William, do you have a mute button on your side, like on the controls? Oh, okay. So no mute button, but we still can't hear you. I do hear a little I hear a little bit of noise. That's interesting. I wonder what's going on. It's okay. It's just a little troubleshooting. It's okay. If you maybe, I don't know if there's any settings on anything, but sometimes, wait a minute, if you click on the settings and then the audio, you can select what microphone you're using, and sometimes it auto selects the wrong mic. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm not super familiar with what. Oh, I heard something. Here, talk one more time.
Hello.
There we go. Now we got you.
Yeah, it's always trying to jump in between my iRune stuff. I used to use it so I can hook up my iPad and my iPhone to make cameras when we were doing actual play. And now my laptop just remembers it, and it'll jump to the iRune when there's no iRune there. It's like, what are you
Mine
doing?
does the same thing. It switches to my actual camera mic, which is terrible, not this mic. So I always have to double check, because if I jump in with my camera mic, it's all echoey and gross and it's terrible. It does it. But anyway, William, how's it going? How's your day going?
Oh, it's going. It's going pretty good. Had to go get a tire change, but got that out of the way, and then just working on my module.
Heck
And
yeah.
then I figured I'd jump in once and for all. I haven't done that yet, so I figured, hey.
Well, it's great to have you. Okay, so what are your thoughts on non-magic, non-gold related in-game D&D rewards? What do you do? And by the way, for those who are listening, I'm a player in William's game on Sunday nights, Dungeons and 20s YouTube channel and Twitch channel. I play Gromazak, Lawful Evil, Minotaur Bard, in case you guys haven't heard of him. Pretty awesome. And that is in William's game. We run a very immersive, deep role play game. I'm having so much fun. Level 6 right now. So anyway, just to give you a little background on our relationship and why I know William. But anyway, so all right, continue, William. What is your non-magic in-game D&D rewards? What's your 2 cents on the matter?
Usually, I do work with Renown when I have one of my continents where I do have a lot of magic that everybody gets rewarded with. But eventually, I'm like, okay, we gotta hold back a little bit, guys. Gonna become gods. But depending on the actions they do in the world, I do like to give rewards as far as, I guess, more of the aiming at their fame. So renown, depending on what city they are and what they do for that city, I like to reward them so that way all the NPCs can talk about them when they're walking down the street. I have one character, Arya, and she started getting the name the Witch of the North. And then I started using that for renown in the Silver Well. And so when she's walking down the street, little kids are hiding around the corner and watching this. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought she was supposed to be 12 feet tall with like large wings and horns and all this, because everybody just throws out rumors. And I think a lot of the players there enjoy that because they're seeing that their actions and their adventures are actually having some sort of return value for them, and they see that the world is reacting to them. That is one way I do non-magical rewards. It's just a little bit more on the, I guess, on the celebrity side and the ego a little bit. That's always a good thing for the players.
Yeah. I noticed in our game that you run on Sundays, there's a lot of Grom is a bard and he likes to get the crowd going, so it's like, maybe that's more specific to him, but there is a lot of like renown, reputation, people hearing about you, and then like some benefits that come with that, which have been growing like a little bit as it goes, especially in the local like area they're in. And that's a fun thing. I think that like I as a player playing that character care a lot more about those rewards than maybe some people. Like, to me, that's a really cool thing because to Grom, it's like he loves to be like known. He loves people to know his name, loves for the crowd to cheer for him, kind of thing. So like that's like a reward, very tangible to that character. But so what I'm wondering is, that's like a thing that very specifically that character cares about. But do you ever like look at individual characters and be like, what's like a reward I could like tailor to them? Do you ever do that, or do you kind of use the same technique for all players?
I do have that general technique for all players, but sometimes individuals, depending on their backstory, it'd be interesting on what is important to them, and if they come from a kingdom or a background that has some sort of nobility. I think somebody in the chat had mentioned, but I would go with some sort of medallion or something, or maybe they were in a ward and or their father was in a ward, they earned a medallion or something, and some sort of grand medal, and if I think like I have Lucas. Lucas is from Calanthe, and he comes from a reputable blacksmithing family. And so my plan was to eventually award him with some sort of prestigious medal that's specific to his background and such. Of course, that's was whenever they would return back home from their grand adventure that they're having right now. Um, and sometimes it just depends if there's like carousing around and just looking for a particular book. Some I have an artificer. He likes to figure out about history and such, and then maybe this particular book is pretty special and nobody else can get a hold of it. It's a rare edition, and that sometimes I give them there, and then I give it meaning for the rest of the world. Other NPCs would be like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool. I've been looking for this book for a while." And when you create that kind of value and meaning, the rest of the world kind of just interacts with that particular character that has that one item. It's one way to do it for rewards that are not magical.
Yeah. So that actually makes me think about I've had players in the past who have sought out things like oh, ancient knowledge, maybe like technology, going to the library, going to the old ruins, whatever, looking for this or that. And those are kind of like, those are non-magical, non-monetary rewards too, because for the player who wants to be in depth with the role play with that, like I have one player in my core group who's like an astronomer. And so he's always looking for like, oh, star charts and like information about planetary alignments and that kind of thing. And so like for him, like that, all of that is actually very valuable to him. And then when he gets it, it's like, okay, roll to see if this impacts your understanding of like what you're working on right now. Like he's working on right now this basically the idea that the stars and alignments could foretell the future. And he's playing the wizard class where he gets this ability. He's playing like one of the subclasses in the new 2024 version where you every day you get like a divination roll, and basically you get to foretell the future, but you get 2 dice rolls and you can trade them for any dice rolls that happen that like meet a certain criteria. So like, for example, he used one of his dice rolls to capture a a Baylor demon in an iron flask, because he was like, okay, I'm going to use one of my rolls when the Baylor rolls his save. He had like a really bad divination roll. So he switched it out with the demon's roll. So the demon would fail his save and then go into the flask. So like, but like, so he's playing like a divination wizard. And so it's like, he's trying to make larger predictions about the world. So it's like when he finds new information about the stars and stuff, it's like, okay, roll to see if you know anything more. Like maybe you could predict more future. And so he's gotten some like information about stuff like one of the big bads is doing that the players don't know about, but he can kind of see into the future a little bit by predicting the star patterns. So that's like I love that kind of thing. When players care about that and they pursue it, that's so much fun. One of the problems, one of the problems though is that players don't often put a lot of energy into pursuing those things. It's kind of rare to find a player who actually commits to pursuing those things, which is really, really fun when they do. But anyway, go ahead, continue.
I think it's incentive in certain sense. It's interesting because you write all this entire lore about your world, and you can lay it out in libraries and such. And it's really fun when some of the players actually decide to say, you know what, I want to know more about this certain continent or whatnot. And it also helps as a reward because they're searching out this. Maybe their background is a sage or they're looking to become a better historian. And that also makes it fun for you because you're now linking that history of your world with what that character is doing. And you reward them with certain books. And then to make it valuable and incentivize, I guess, in a sense, is to, like, I know currently for one of my main campaigns that we're trying to figure out how necromancy works to see if they can use it against the lich. And so I gave them an extra bonus, like a +1 to intelligence rolls when they're doing certain skill rolls and such. And not only did that have a reward of a book, but now they also have a reward of like game mechanics that helps them out. And I always found that pretty interesting because it helps you and the player. You give information that you want to give out because you worked on it so hard, but then they also have value based on that information.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think tools of rewards and such like that would be very useful thing for players. As far as other things, as far as I don't know if I guess it would be under Magic too, though. It's kind of hard because I have like a GPS tracking system, but it's a magic tracking system in my world. So people use like
Really?
little stones that gnomes have made, but you can only get it in a certain place because it's very rare. And as long as you have this almost works like a cell phone where you can talk to anybody. So it surpasses even the sending stones. But it was kind of a little gadget that works with magic and technology that the gnomes created, and it tracks wherever you are in the world, and also is able to send messages longer than the sending messages. Kind of keep it rare because it kind of offsets the magical message sending, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool when somebody has it.
What in one of my games, my players, and they were very high level. They were like, I mean, levels like 17, 18 by the time they got this to work. But they developed these like stones. They like created this system of stones that basically acted like cell phones, where they could like they were all connected to each other, and they could like basically magically communicate, and they could also join group conversations, so they could be like all the way across the world, and they could all jump on like a call and talk. And they spent like thousands of gold and all the stuff to make these stones that did this, so they had like these special stones. That's really funny. It took them a long time and it was very expensive, but and then they even got one for one of their main NPCs. I think they were like, let's make him one because it would be useful to get him in on these group calls. It was really funny.
Well, other rewards that is pretty good is just clothing by themselves. Like if you want to give them fancy clothing or clothing that fits the theme of a certain city, sometimes you can use that and work it into the role play as well. I like how like
Yeah.
Brom does his. Okay, I'm gonna switch my clothing and such. That's
Yeah.
usually yeah, that's usually pretty good in order to get them into the mind frame and that sense of role play deeper as they can have something to describe. So real life, I write down what the description of the clothing is, and I just hand them like an index card, and now they can use that to describe the character when they go to the party. So that's sometimes a good reward. Maybe they have like a queen or some royalty, or they're friends with somebody, or maybe they have like a romance thing going in the game. You can just write that down as an index, and that index just helps them to detail the clothing more so they can kind of describe and paint the character to everybody else a little bit better. That's a nice reward sometimes too.
Yeah. I have these usually in every long-term campaign I run, I'll run like a Christmas special. And the Christmas specials are always they involve this character called Father Winter, who's like Santa Claus. And he's like a minor deity, but he travels through all planes and worlds. And he basically the idea is at this time of the year, like the winter solstice, he delivers gifts to like the good people, basically, kind of like. But anyway, in almost every Christmas special, what I have is I have the players come upon him and he's in trouble somehow, and they have to like help him. Like there was one year where this like Krampus character had taken over his workshop, and so he petitioned the players for help. Another year, two of his elves got stuck in like this woods, and they couldn't escape, and there were wolves like circling them, so the party had to help them. So it's like there's always this theme where they need to help him, and then after they help him, he gives them gifts. And usually like if it's a new character who's never met him before, he'll give them like a medallion that has like his symbol on it, and that's kind of like a prestigious item. And that's kind of a fun thing. It's like it doesn't really have any magical effects, but it's something that's super novel. Like, someone's like, what is that amulet? It's like, oh, that came from Father Winter. What? is he even real? We've heard like we tell our children stories about him, but like, is he actually real? So it's like a funny kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, but also it's actually kind of fun. And then in one session or one campaign, he gave them all weapons. Like he replaced their primary weapon with like a magic weapon that had Father Winter's like seal on it. So it's really funny to hear someone say, yeah, and I'm equipping my Father Winter longsword. Like it's really
well, that's pretty cool, creating that whole entire lore and character there. That's pretty nice.
It is really fun. And it's fun when players care enough about it to like make it a thing. Like that's what's really fun.
Yeah. When you get the players to kind of jump into it and start making it. Yeah, I love when that happens in my world and such, and people just start just going and rolling with it. I have one god in my world. He's like a demigod. He was actually played by one of my good friends a long time ago, but he was given that divinity to jump into a demigod status. And his name is Justin. And I have people from different places. I think Waz actually commented at one time. It's like, meet my gods. And he introduces them all until they gets to Justin. And then, Justin. So, and I have all these other ones. But he has so many books and such, like this, a collector series of the Justin's adventures and such like that. Some people might not want it, but some people are like into these series, and it's like, hey, you can have this series. Here's a reward for you. So it kind of like reverses it as like, oh, okay, thank you for the gift. It's a reward, but okay, it's not one that I wanted. So you can kind of reverse it and make it kind of like a joking thing as well.
Yeah. That's true. It's funny when a god or a demigod or a very powerful being gives a gift and it's like not a very good gift, but they think it is, and they expect the player to be really pumped about it. Like it's like they give them a blanket or something, like benign, and then they're like every time it's like, are you using your blanket? I think that's a funny dynamic sometimes. It's like especially
the grandmother giving you a blanket. It's like, how's that blanket going, honey? Like,
yes.
Oh, it's perfect. I use it all the time.
I also one time had this fun, interesting like encounter or situation going in my games where there was this like, he was a barbarian, like war chief. His name was King Bloodaxe, and he led like a bunch of these orcs. He was just a savage, awful, evil barbarian. But the barbarian of the group became like friends with him, and they became like, at first they like fought each other, then they became like friends and allies. But then he got into this rivalry with the wizard of the group over giving this player character barbarian birthday gifts. So like, King Bloodaxe and the wizard would like compete to see who could give him the best birthday gift. And it was always funny because the wizard would always outdo the barbarian because he was always like thinking ahead and more intelligent. And the barbarian would just like rage and flip the table over because he realized his gift was not as good as the wizard's gift, and he hated to be outdone by those magic users. It was a funny like situation, but the barbarian did end up getting a lot of gifts because of that that feud.
That's a bag of gifts going on.
Yes.
I think another good one is like when somebody's very attached to a pet or they have a mount, and they're able to reward that to another person, or sometimes if the character dies or whatnot, they have like something left over. It's like, I want you to take care of Billy over here, my mule, or something. So that can always be another good, and I guess an intention of players where they're trying to help out the other player by giving them something that they cared about, and so
like the dead mount, or the mount is alive.
Oh, like the mount is alive, but the player character dies and such.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So they kind of create that emotional link now toward the character and stuff. What was it, like one of my campaigns when Soleil died and such, the adopted daughter, he gave her like, I think the staff and I think the emblem and all this other stuff. So it gave it wasn't so much of a reward, I guess it's a gift, but that's one way in order to create that I guess feelings empower the feelings of the role play and such.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that would be more like gifts than rewards. But yeah, that's one way to do it.
For sure. No, for sure. sometimes sometimes the GM gives gifts by way of in-game, or gives rewards by way of in-game gifts, which is a very valid way to give rewards, like gifts, whether it be from a king or even just from a random person. Or sometimes the god might send some unknown messenger to deliver a gift. I've used that trope a lot of times. Like, characters just chilling out, and then there's a big knock at the door, and they open it, and there's some strange paladin they've never met, and they're like, "I've come here with a message from Hyronius. Here," hands over package, and then just leaves. Like, I've had that happen. I've had that happen a lot.
So who was that? I don't know.
Yeah. It's even better when that happens and they're delivering bad news. It's like basically letter. They open it up. You've been cursed, or some version of that, and it's like,
Oh God.
it's like, that's great. Let's catch
Well,
up to them, and they
I
disappear.
know you said that you've been what do you call it? You've been a yes forever DM, but have you ever played in anybody's game where you had rewards and such that weren't magical?
Man, I haven't played. It's been such a long time since I've actually played in a game before I started playing in yours. It's been a very long time, other than just one shots. But the last time that
Wow.
I played in a serious game where I was like a serious player would have been, it's been quite a few years ago, and I was playing a fighter, and that character got a lot of, so the rewards that character gained were mostly notoriety with some like local lords and stuff, which was pretty cool. And then also like NPC loyalty. Like, there was a lot of that. Like, but that character was actually, I was building that character in third edition. There was this prestige class called a War Master. And it was like you could basically, if you got a fighter and you had just enough like charisma, you could like multi-class into this prestige class called War Master. And the whole thing about a War Master was they had a bunch of minions, and then if their banner was raised over the battlefield, all their minions got like bonuses and abilities based on it. So that was like the whole thing about them. So this character had like a whole bunch of minions, and then and that was kind of like the rewards. They kind of came as part of the class, but I would also call them in-game rewards, like just getting the minions joining and having them be loyal. Like, so to me, and that was like, that's what I wanted, and that's what happened, and it was super cool. And I tend to like to give minions to players who are loyal, because whether or not they want them is another story. And sometimes that's a funny thing. Sometimes minions will try to follow them who are more of a pain than a boost, which is a really funny situation. But the minions love that player character, so it's like, what are you gonna do?
I know that
Yeah.
where I've rewarded people with not only minions but like land and like
Yeah.
so they can build their headquarters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do very well and help this kingdom out and such, they it's like, all right, we rewarded you this land. Sometimes I like to play around with it and says, well, this is your castle or your headquarters or bastion or whatever, so long as you stay here and don't leave and just protect us. Sometimes they're like pros and cons to that.
Yeah. And one of the funnest things about land ownership is that, again, that could come with like, it's like great up science, but also pain in the butt. Cause like, look, what if the peasants come to you and they're having a feud, and then it's like, then you try to arbitrate it, but they are not reasonable and they like won't accept it, and it just becomes this big pain. Like, it's like you rolled just good enough. It's like, oh, I didn't realize how big of a pain these peasants were going to be. Like, they're very, very hard-headed. So it's like I think that those are really fun situations for the players, because that challenges the players in kind of a moral sense. It also is like a little thorn in their side. It's like, hey, just remember, you're a ruler here, and all these people are mad at you because you're not
Yeah, you
making this person do this, and you're not making this person do this. It's like,
you get to see on the other side and see what it feels like.
yeah. And I think that's a fun thing. Not like making it like a gimmick, but just like that's like a part of it, along with all the good benefits you get. You get this little like hard situation where there's this group of peasants who are just a real pain, and it's just fun.
You know, something that Grom might like. I've done this for a player before, where I gave them one of the famous taverns, and then they had to come up with ways to like, okay, so how am I going to make a profit? Okay, so I'm buying my alcohol. I got the dwarven ale. That's going to be worth more because now I got to ship it all the way from the dwarven lands and such. And but ended up being more of a hassle than a reward, maybe. But they enjoyed it. They were like, okay, I like working with numbers. Let's see how we can make this happen.
No,
And
that's super true. Sometimes it is more of a hassle than
yeah,
a reward.
especially for the DM when I have to do my math too. It's like, oh gosh, okay, I don't know.
Yes,
Let me roll
yeah.
this to see how this is gonna go. I gotta do taxes now. I do that in real life. Come on.
That's when it's almost easier when you have players who are like highly motivated, like players who do most of that. Like I had this one player one time who started this like gambling thing, and they were like they would do these basically cage fights, and then they ran all these bets, and they had this whole bet scheme going. And I was just kind of like thinking to myself, oh no, I don't want to do all this math. I do not want to do all this math. But they did all the math. Like they literally sat there and like they were like, okay, so they asked me a few questions. I made some rolls, give them answers, like how many people were betting, how much were they betting on who, and then they like did all the math. And then when the fight was over, they like calculated it, and it was like, wow, like the fact that that player was so involved in that arc made it easy for me to run. And so those are the kinds of players that make things like that so much more of a pleasure and so much less of like a pain, pain in the butt.
Yeah. It's like, here, take the workload for me.
Yes, yeah. Also, probably they really believed in it, and like if you do your own math, then you know you're going to get the payout you were planning on. Versus if the DM makes arbitrary rolls, it's like who knows how good it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's probably I can relate to that as a player. I like to have the control over my own destiny.
Isn't that what we all want? It's like, we got that agency
Yes.
going now.
Yes.
Well, was a nice discussion. I'm gonna head on out. I'm gonna get back to my little schedule of trying to finish this book in time. So
heck yeah. Well, thank you for joining. I actually need to bounce as well. Time to get back to work. But hey, thank you for joining the chat. I really appreciate it. It's fun to talk to you. And for everyone who is in the YouTube live, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. And everyone have a great day. Roll some D100s for me at your next game. And I'll catch you later. Have a good one, William. I'll catch you later as well.